Is on the cusp of takeoff, says Prime Minister Modi in a rare media interview. He says, and I quote, "The people of India have very different aspirations from the ones they had 10 years back." Hello and welcome to Hot Money. I'm Hiral, Dadia. Let's quickly take a look how markets are panning at this hour. Clearly, if you go to see, some upbeat momentum does continue at the day's highest levels as we speak. Nifty 50 with gains of around 0.6% coming in there. Sensex as well. We're trading above the 71,200 mark. Let's pull up Bank Nifty and see what's happening with regards to Bank Nifty as we speak. 0.2% higher, so there is some bit of underperformance from Bank Nifty as compared to the benchmark indices. And you have the PSU Bank Index that is in focus as well, because a lot of brokerages are of the opinion that probably these could be re-rating candidates that could be on the anvil. There you go, 0.5% up move coming in there, but a pretty volatile ride is what we are seeing. Moving away from that in terms of broader markets as well, clear outperformance is what we are seeing in the first half of the day from the broader markets as compared to benchmark indices. So interesting moves on that front. And if you see in terms of names which are actually making at the top of the list today, because the advance decline ratio is in favor of the advances. In terms of large caps, you have Davis Laboratories, strong moves, Coal India, Maruti, Tata Motors, as well as Hindalco. All these counters are seeing some smart moves in today's session. On the losing end, you have names like BPCL, Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank, as well as HDFC Life trading under pressure, as well as Agrasim, which is down in trade. But let's shift focus in terms of the stocks that we will be discussing and are in focus today. Firstly, AMI Organics on the back of the block, as well as a lot of triggers that are working in the favor of the company. We will be discussing that counter in trade today. All Cargo as well as Gati, both of these stocks are in focus. LIC is another one which is buzzing. GMR Airports, Siemens, as well as a Hindustan Copper. In fact, Hindustan Copper, 2 consecutive session of rally is what we've seen. But let's head across to my colleague Varsha first before we get in our guest Sunny Agarwal, who will be joining us on the show to discuss about AMI Organics. Varsha, 3 investors, they've actually sold a combined stake of 12% in AMI Organics yesterday through an open market transaction. What does this actually mean? Because a lot of marquee names that have entered the stock and a lot of developments on this front.
Yeah, so as you rightly said, so yesterday there was a large deal, almost 12% equity change hands. Now let's see who are the buyers. So ex-promoter offloaded shares of worth rupees 474 crore. Now Chovatia family, who held almost 17% stake in September 2023, they actually sold off their stake. So now if you see from 17% current, after this transaction, they'll be having almost 5% of equity in this company, wherein Girish Kumar Chovatia has exited the company completely. Now let's see who has bought these shares. I guess this is the reason why AMI has been in focus. Morgan Stanley, BofA Securities, ICICI Prudential, Value Quest and Goldman Sachs were the key buyers in this transaction. And also if you see, Malabar India Fund has bought additional stake of 1.31%. Now they almost had 1.81% stake. Now they've increased their stake in the company. So this is the reason, key marquee buyers you are seeing in this transaction. This is the reason why AMI has been in focus.
Right, so this is with regards to where the block goes. So interesting moves now. The overhang with regards to where the ex-promoters exiting is out completely. But Varsha, let me come to you from a fundamental perspective now. If you could help the viewers and us understand in terms of what's the guidance looking like for the company, what are the key triggers that could be at play, and taking into consideration where the sector has been under pressure in terms of the current financial year, when do you see green shoots that could be emerging?
So here let's look at what are the growth triggers for the company. So there are many growth triggers for the company, and company is entering into new business also, which will actually help in the growth prospects. So one being deal with Fermion. So if you see, they've signed 2 advanced pharmaceutical intermediate contract with this company, and this is in addition to already signed 2 other intermediate for the company. So in total, you may see that there are 4 contracts with Fermion for AMI Organics. Now, the significant revenue contribution is yet to be seen in FY25. Now, this 4 products will be a multi-million and multi-year deal. Then the second, the company has been entering into electrolyte business. So electrolyte is used for battery chemicals. Now, company has signed MOU with global manufacturers for this supply, and also companies to set up its manufacturing facility in Gujarat, for which it has signed an MOU with government of Gujarat for investment of rupees 300 crores. Then also AMI is actually entering into semiconductor industry also. Now this is through acquisition of Baba Chemicals. Now Baba Chemicals has a strong presence in photoresistant chemicals. And now if we have to look from the guidance perspective, so guidance for FY24, actually AMI has reduced its guidance from 22 to 25% to 18 to 22%. Now this is on the back of what we are seeing happening in the specialty chemicals. There's this China dumping happening, which is actually affecting the realization for all the chemicals, and which is affecting the revenue for all these companies. But if one has to look through the H1 FY24 of AMI Organics, so the H1 performance was below expectation. This was due to delayed launch of one of their key products, and also low export business, which is a high margin business. But overall, if you look from the FY24 perspective, I believe that FY24 may be a muted one or a low growth, but FY25 will see a huge contribution for AMI Organics.
Right, so that's with regards to AMI Organics. Thank you, Varsha, for getting us the details. Let's welcome in Sunny Agarwal, Head of Fundamental Equity Research at SBI Securities. Sunny, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Always a pleasure. Sunny, what do you make of AMI Organics, taking into consideration that the ex-promoter's exit was a major overhang that has happened now? Yes, this is a weak, season or a year with regards to specialty chemicals as a business go, but a lot of people are talking about the turnaround that could be expected from the next financial year onwards. What would you advise investors to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think the entire chemical space is underowned and has been underperforming since last 1.5 years. And now the prospects are getting better, especially for AMI Organic. The kind of deals which the company has struck recently, and the kind of long runway which entire electric vehicle or battery space is concerned. I think any company which is entering into the long-term deals with any large MNC company for supplying any chemical, specialty chemical, electrolyte, it will always give a kind of sense of confidence to the street that at least there is a strong earning visibility for pretty long period of time. And being an under-owned sector, I think it's a good time to accumulate. Again, I think in terms of earning growth, again, FY24, second half of FY24 is not the time where we will see a massive earning growth. FY25 on the low base of FY24, probably we may see some uptick in as far as earning growth is concerned. So if somebody want to take a view on AMI Organic or any other specialty chemical company, the view has to be at least for 18 to 24 months, then one will able to create a decent kind of money in this name.
Right. So that's with regards to where AMI Organics go. But moving on, All Cargo Logistics and Gati are in focus as well. In fact, the company has approved raising up to 500 crores via multiple instruments and approved the amalgamation scheme as well between the company, All Cargo Logistics and their subsidiaries. We have my colleague Mika who's joining us with more details, because you have All Cargo Gati, which has been trading under pressure as we speak. Mika, what do you have for us?
Yes. So I'll talk about the scheme of amalgamation. Now there are two parts to this. The first part is that the international supply chain business is to be demerged into a separate entity, and this will be called All Cargo ECU. Now All Cargo ECU will include the India segment of the international supply chain business and the global subsidiaries. And the All Cargo shareholders will get 1:1 shares in the demerged entity, which is the All Cargo ECU segment. Now the second part is the amalgamation of All Cargo supply chain and Gati Express and supply chain into All Cargo Gati. Now this means that the express and the contract logistic business to come under the demerged All Cargo Logistics company as Gati will now be merged into All Cargo Logistics. Now the swap ratio states that the Gati shareholders will get 63 shares of All Cargo Logistics for every 10 shares they held in All Cargo Gati, and the shares that all cargo logistics held in Gati will be therefore cancelled. Now, the firm wants to achieve strategic independence and financial flexibility via having this amalgamation so that each company can focus on the segment that they operate in, and the scheme is expected to be implemented in 10 to 12 months. Now, all cargo post the amalgamation will eventually have 4 listed businesses. One is all cargo logistics, all cargo ECU, all cargo terminals, and also Trans India real estate. The contract and logistic business will bring in customer stickiness and will help amplify the scale in the express logistics business, thereby helping all cargo logistics.
Right. Thanks, Mika, for getting us the details. So that's with regards to all cargo Gati as well. Overall, Sunny, I know you do not have exposure or a view in terms of all cargo, but how are you looking at the logistics space as a whole, and what would your top picks be?
Yeah, so I would like to ride this sector through ports as a sector, wherein Gujarat Pipavav port is, or something like company like JSW Infra, or for that matter Adani Port. So I would like to ride this sector either through ports or a company such as Concor Container Corporation of India Limited, where we are seeing due to the completion of dedicated freight corridor, the speed at which the throughput of all these logistic companies will increase, so that will lead to the better profitability. So Alcargo, where I feel the entire restructuring is a very complex process, and in this market you did not find a complex idea to make money. Better stick to a simple businesses, and those there the money can be made easily.
Right. So that's with regards to where the logistics space goes, and Adani Ports is one company that Sunny is looking at. But let's quickly slip into a short break. We'll be right back on the show with lots more other stocks to discuss and views that Sunny will be giving us as well. Be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Hot Money. Now, the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund will invest almost 675 crores in GMR's upcoming greenfield airport at Bhogapuram, which is in Andhra Pradesh. My colleague Anushi Vakharia joins us to give us more details of this, because the stock has been buzzing in trade up nearly, if you pull up the chart as well, it's been a strong move. The last 1 month has been pretty strong as well with regards to where GMR goes, 3.5%, but it has actually given up some gains as well from the day's highest levels. Anushi, what do you have for us on the GMR airport?
Hi, Hiral. So, as you mentioned, the stock has been gaining favorable attention today, with the company investing about 675 crore through its SPV, which is GMR Visakhapatnam, to operate the Bhogapuram International Airport in Andhra Pradesh. So, this marks National Investment and Infrastructure Fund's second investment of the 3 projects it had declared in 2022, the first being the Goa project. Now, the outcome of the development is quite important, wherein with the first phase execution, they expect to add about 6 million passengers and an ultimate capacity of about 40 million passengers thereafter. So, this was on the GMRs, but the company has been in buzz recently as well. So, if you see, just last month, it had declared about 3,200 crore fundraise from 5 banks led by the Infrastructure Fund. And along with this, the company also financed its first phase development. Now, coming to the other reason why it was buzzing was 2 large trades that happened with GQG Partners gaining about 4.7% stake. So that's all on GMR for today.
Right. Thank you, Anushi, for getting us the details. So that's with regards to where GMR goes. Almost 28% up move is what we've seen on this counter in the last 1 month as well. So strong moves coming in there. Sunny, very quickly, your view with regards to where GMR goes?
Yeah, I think it's an indirect play on increasing air traffic passenger in India. So GMR right now own around 6 airports in India and around 3 out of India on an international front. So what I feel is that if I take a slightly longer horizon, 3 to 5 years, there are multiple triggers which are available for this business. One is increase in UDF at the existing airport. Second, increase in air passenger footfall or traffic at the existing airport. Increase in number of airports, which is like Andhra Pradesh one, which will go on stream maybe after 3-4 years. And then last and most importantly, monetization of the non-aero revenue, wherein you try to extract more revenue from retail business or from real estate business. So the multiple triggers are available for the business. But if I take a short-term view, FY24, the business is fairly valued. So if somebody wants to invest in this company, need to have a slightly longer horizon. And then probably 2-3 years down the line, we can see a significant uptick in earning growth for GMR.
Right, so that's with regards to GMR. Moving on, you have LIC that is in focus. The Indian government has granted a one-time exemption to the company to achieve a minimum public shareholding of 25% within 10 years. Joining us on the show is Vishy to discuss more in terms of what would this mean and what's actually making the stock buzz. Vishy, over to you.
Right. So as we know, the government has given time till May 2032 for LIC to reduce the promoter shareholding stake so that it could meet the minimum public shareholding guidelines that SEBI has. Now, remember that this was to be achieved by 2024. So now this extension comes in, which gives the company as well as the government more time to achieve this. Essentially, the government has to offload about 21.5% stake, depending on the current shareholding structure. What SEBI allows companies like this to do is you could go through an OFS route, you could go for QIPs, ETFs as well as employee shares to reduce the stake. Typically, companies go with one of these multiple means available. Most people have not done a mix of various routes to reduce promoter shareholding and increase public shareholding. In the LIC case specifically, the government is likely to go for the OFS route. But if they do that, then there's a problem, because it's 21.5% and over a 10-year period, that would be roughly about 2% every year. LIC's current market cap is in excess of 5 lakh crore. So that would mean that over 1 lakh crore rupees worth of shares will be floating around in the market if the government does go for OFS, which will, of course, end up depressing value. The current free float is quite thin. The share price, LIC, while it has gone up over the last few months, we are still far behind the IPO price of about 949 rupees rupees per share. So that's going to be an issue that the government will have to deal with and will have to consider while they go ahead with this kind of a share sale. Now, remember that the government itself does have the power to change the timeline as much as it wants to, because currently in a public sector entity, the government can decide whether it wants to achieve the minimum public shareholding or not. That's a call that the government can take, and by the end of this 2032 period, it could very well be that the government takes more time to achieve the MPS requirements.
Thanks, Vishy, for getting us the details. This is going to be interesting from a LIC perspective as well, because we are almost 15 to 16% still away from the issue price that Vishy was mentioning, and almost shares worth 1 lakh crore need to be sold, because this increases the free float, I beg your pardon, for 10 years. And that's interesting information that Vishy has got for us. Very quickly, Sunny, from what Vishy has been telling us, how would you look at a LIC?
Yeah, I think a big relief as far as postponement of sale from government is concerned. However, in terms of valuation, I still feel that it is one of the cheapest insurance company on the street, trading at less than 1 time price to embedded value. As compared to that, its peers, private players are trading at 2.5 to 4 time price to embedded value. So obviously, even government would like to see that there is a decent amount of wealth creation for the shareholders, and then probably 2 to 3 years down the line, government may think of coming out with the next tranche of an offer for sale. And on the business front, recently management went on record to say that they are likely to post a healthy growth in profitability as far as insurance business is concerned. So I think the street is hunting for such value ideas, and LIC fits in that bill. So somebody who is looking for the value buy, LIC is the stock to win, but one need to be a very patient investor over here.
Thanks, Sunny, for getting us your views on LIC. Hind Copper is another one. That stock has been buzzing for 2 days. Let's understand from Himansh as to what's keeping the stock upbeat. Himansh, over to you.
Thank you. Hindustan Copper, the stock's up 14.5% in the past 2 days, and this comes ahead of the pre-bid mining auctions that are supposed to take place today, and where critical minerals such as including copper are going to be on the auction table. But there's another very key thing at play here. In the past 3 weeks, we've seen 2 major shutdowns globally. You have the Panama mine that has been ordered to shut down in the coming year. That has taken away 4 lakh tons of copper supply globally, and then you also have Anglo-American PLC that has slashed its 2024 copper production targets, which has turned the overall projected surplus, and now its analysts are expecting a deficit or a mild balance for 2024. Now, Hindustan Copper, being the sole end-to-end copper miner and producer in the country, is poised to benefit from this. Smelters could potentially face increased pricing pressure over the raw materials, and this could translate into lower TCRC, which is treating and refining costs for the company. Moreover, Hindustan Copper has also been a top gainer over the past couple of months, jumping from September 29 lows, tracing the global LME copper spot prices as well. So lots happening for Hindustan Copper. It's certainly a stock to watch in the near term.
Absolutely, a stock to watch in the near term. Thank you, Himansh, for rushing you through the details as well. But let's quickly slip into a short break, and we'll thank Sunny as well for joining us on the show. We'll be right back with lots more on the other side. Please stay tuned to NDTV Profit.